Where my next realization comes, where I believe you, myself, anybody who really wants to manifest an abundant lifestyle, using the tools, kind of hacking your way, right? Figuring it out. There's gonna be an increase of financially free people. It's gonna happen very, very rapidly, especially with AI agents currently being deployed, probably will be mass deployed in this year. Financial freedom is gonna be so normalized. And this is fascinating because naturally that is gonna tip the scales of supply and demand. We're gonna see the first solopreneur billionaire. We're gonna see people who are able to output or provide service via their ideas and problem solving, making hundreds of millions, in a span of 5-10 years. So it's no longer going to be about, I hope, what you spend money to buy. I believe it's going to be what you spend money to learn. Gentlemen,
we are
welcome back.
The winter combo. Welcome Purple Matter 9.
Winter edition. Immerse yourself in the purple. Welcome
Yes,
back,
sir.
everybody.
So
How we doing?
right now it's pure improvisation. We haven't talked for quite a while. Actually, since Taiwan, that was like the last checkpoint, and now we're just checking in straight inside the
Right.
Purple Matter.
Checking in straight in the purple matter, the purple matrix. It's crazy that recently I saw an article about the Monroe Institute. Have you heard of this Monroe Institute?
Never heard of it.
So people listening can Google it, but apparently there have been a lot of studies being conducted on the human psyche, telepathy, and of course how to connect with interdimensional beings. And the Monroe Institute is kind of the leading, you can say, experts in this field. But of course, there's many people who are going to disregard it. But one episode that was played was from like the 1970s or something, and this lady was like in hypnosis, and you can hear Monroe, I think his name is Robert Monroe, I could be mistaken, the main guy, and he's interviewing this lady. This kind of sounds like a teenage girl almost. It's like one of the tapes. And the first thing she says is, "I'm immersed in purple."
Really?
Yeah. And then it goes on to, I'll send you that link later, but for those of you who don't know, there's a lot of trippy things happening right now in 2025.
There's online classes and everything.
Oh, you're looking at it right now? It's crazy.
Yeah. Wow, definitely gotta. You're giving key straight up. You're giving a key straight in.
I'm telling you, we're entering a very
That's
purple
beautiful.
reality. 2025
That's
is
beautiful.
off to a crazy start. How was your New Year's?
So how? Man, my New Year's have been like, from blue and red, jumping from blue and red.
Right.
It was a lot of good time, beautiful time, a lot of harder time. I was here in Japan, right now I'm in North Japan, Hokkaido, so
Right.
very cold. I've learned that I love the cold actually. I love the coziness of the woody chalet and
I know.
the hot chocolate looking
That's
at the
fire.
window.
That's fire.
So I love all this side, and then on the other side it was a lot of little struggle here and there, but we've learned to appreciate those because we know that's the place of growth. So
Exactly.
it was very interesting being in a small village in the north of Japan, surrounded with Western people, European, American, Taiwanese people, massively
Right.
Taiwanese people, and a lot of Japanese people. So I feel like all my people, Japanese, Taiwanese, European, they
That's
were
crazy.
all reunited in a very small village in the north of Japan. So it was very interesting. My brain was
special.
everywhere.
That's special. I always find that amazing. Sorry, I know you're about to ask me about my New Year's was. I think I'm going to say this similar answer, but I find it amazing how at any given point in time, wherever you are, whoever is around you are sharing the same coordinates as you at this exact point in time. Like when you really think about a matrix, like that's crazy to me. Like to think that when you're walking the street, this random person passing you by. Like, they decided to be there too at the same time for whatever reason.
Right.
Their whole life took place, and now they're right there to be said hello to, or it's just insane. It's like, it's crazy to think about that.
For real, and I'm sure there is so many opportunities that we're missing right now by like just going and talk to those people. You know, I was editing one clip earlier today about Nosif and yourself in Beyond the Hustle.
Oh, wow.
And Nosif was saying the
Nosif.
thing that is missing in the world is love. And he was explaining, you go in the street, you say hi to someone, he's gonna look at you like what? And then there's love missing, you know. So when we are in a space like that with so many different cultures, like of course Taiwanese people that are traveling here, they're gonna look at me like oh, just another foreigner, you know.
Right.
But I'm not another foreigner. I live in your country, my boy.
I know.
You know what I mean? There's so much thing we can exchange. There's so much thing I can learn from you, and so much thing you can learn from me. So if we break this barrier of society, we can just grow exponentially super fast. And that's just about love.
Yeah, I think love is the intelligence. Like, pure love is the purest form of intelligence. And, you know, a lot of philosophers throughout history have touched on it, you know, whether it's like Lao Tzu talking about the way, or, you know, you just went on an India trip, you know, they talk about nirvana, but like these heightened states of pure love. And when we define love, what is true love really? It's like complete empathy, compassion. You can sense people's energy. You can feel their intentions. I feel like it really transcends the physical, but ironically it's within the material world. So then you have, like, you know, people talk about vibes, right? And vibes is just a short form for vibrations.
Yep.
And no matter what, from the voice, even our vocal box is vibrating, right? Light is vibrating. So the whole universe is in this constant motion, these vibration sequences and frequencies. And you're right, sometimes you'll be walking around and people are so shelled and cocooned in their predisposed notion of who they think is good and bad, and then they see your face, and then you start talking Mandarin Chinese, right? And it's like, eh?
Yeah.
But it's like, when will there be a time where we can already see past that, where we can already see, I don't know how to achieve that.
See past what?
See past the surface. So I think, in a way, confidence, I think, is also something that is like an intelligence. Like, if someone met you, I think they can feel that you are well-traveled. They can get a sense of your confidence, your energy, your love, from your training, your life experience, from the things you've been through. But at the same time, we're still looking at just like a physical avatar. So we can never see people's memories. But social media kind of gave us an X-ray vision, right? Oh, what's your Instagram? Oh shit, you look at the Instagram, a few swipes, and all of a sudden
it's kind of superficial, the Instagram X-ray that we get, because that's just the image that we want to show to others.
Right.
But you know, there is like three type of persona that we have. There's the one that we share with the grand public, everyone, the mass. That's the persona we share with the mass. Then there is one persona we share with our family, our closest friend, and then there is the deepest persona of ourselves that we share with no one. Right? That's the thoughts that we have never said to anyone. Right. So those three personas are just part of one entity, and that's all about. And I think that's one beautiful thing about Japanese culture.
Yeah.
Is that even if I haven't talked with a lot of people, because, you know, Japanese are very reserved, and they don't, you know, unless they're just very interested in Western culture, they will engage conversations, but otherwise they're very reserved. But I've learned recently that Japan is a very non-verbal communication country. So from the beginning, from the beginning. So when you're speaking Japanese and you say "ogenki desu ka," meaning like "how are you doing," is already like "ogenki." Ki is the chi, your energy. How is your energy doing? And it's whole part of the Japanese philosophy, the Shintoism, is all about. They used to already communicate without talking, you know. They understand, and I knew that
body language cues,
and not even body language is mental. Is higher for me, and that's my only personal interpretation. But for me, Japanese people are at a higher level of consciousness than us. They are hyper conscious. That's why everything in Japan is perfect. They are caring for every detail because they are hyper conscious. And I was always myself. I was always experiencing like nonverbal experience with Japanese people, like. She knows that I know, and I'm gonna do this to respect her because she know, like I'm crossing her path. Like it's always that kind of situation.
It's like 4D
and
chess.
I was like, maybe I'm thinking too much, but then I had a conversation just before New Year, the 30th of December. I went to a Shinto temple with one of my good friends, the friend that recommended me Tsaoba Prophecy,
Right.
and then she talked to me all about this nonverbal communication system in Japan, and that they are slowly losing it step by step due to American influence, and the children that are like actually, as you say, going into Instagram and seeing this superficial and physical world.
Right.
So before the shamanism in Japan, they were as like yogis in India,
That's
higher level of consciousness.
That's beautiful. When you say that too, it makes me feel like at this time period, before, right? Like it's always darkest before sunrise, right? And I do feel like we're entering this very dark period collectively, because I think to myself about nobility, and I don't think we've ever spoke about this concept. It's a concept I spoke about, very in-depthly with my mother, but the concept of being noble. And of course, this has elements to Buddhism and the Eightfold Path of nobility, and what does it mean to be noble and to practice virtue. And I feel like we're in a world where I actually cannot tell you who is a living noble role model right now walking for me. And I think that's a problem, because all of a sudden we have characters who present themselves as nobility, right? Yet their actions and their deeds are the complete opposite of virtue. And this is something that humans are not perfect, but we all try our best to be compassionate, courteous, mannerful, polite. And I do feel like when you talk about Japanese culture, there is a preservation of nobility, because you can almost imagine like a human being who's operating at one of the highest, cleanest, most conscious level. You start to think of deities, people like, I'm sure in their you said Shintoism, they have certain deities, or like in Taiwanese mythology or our deities, we have like Guanyin or Mazu. These beings who are just pure love, like you can sense it. Sometimes even the statue gets close to that energy, where if you muse at a Mazu statue or a Guanyin statue, you can almost hear her saying, "Don't worry, everything's fine. Don't worry.
It's this purity.
You're good.
Exactly.
I got you. Just take it easy. Enjoy your tea. Enjoy it. Look around." It's like that's a crazy energy, because we're so stimulated now. We're overstimulated.
Yeah. But that's exactly what you're saying right now. I didn't know anything about Shintoism. She told me a little bit about the basic thing, but actually like every Japanese that are born are Shinto by birth.
Wow.
Then they can choose if they want to be. It's not a religion, it's a philosophy.
Right.
And when we went to the temple, so actually every shrine, like there's temple and there's shrine are for Shintos, and it's where they feel the most pure atmosphere and space. So they how to say, they locate this shrine. It's like the pure space here, but
like
actually everywhere.
yeah.
But they know that everywhere is pure.
Yeah,
But they just
it's
like
in a nice
locate.
balance. It's like almost like a feng shui, Japanese feng shui, where it's just the energy all accentuates that location.
Yeah, at a, yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
And then they close the. They have like I don't know what they have in this box, but they close it with like locks and everything. But it's actually, she told me maybe it's nothing, maybe it's like a piece of paper, maybe it's a piece of wood, but that's their god that they pray for. But maybe it's nothing. It's just air. Maybe, you know what I mean?
Well, we know, me and you know, that there is no such thing as just air. Everything
Exactly.
has substance. And like, you know, shout out George Lucas, which I think Star Wars was very inspired by Japanese culture and Shintoism and samurai culture. When you think about Jedis and Siths and the Force, we're talking about these concepts. And I think there's one thing that for any of the listeners to be more aware of as you kind of move through this reality is try to be aware of moments where I feel like certain people express a side that might expose their ignorance. And I think that goes opposite of virtue. So it's like, here's a good example. I remember sitting with dinner and this character who was from the North, Nordic European, I'll be general, I don't want to be specific, but he said something very interesting where he spoke about, there was like a little moment where I think this, you know, this person didn't really know how to use chopsticks. So there's a famous line in Chinese where when you're embarrassed, sometimes it leads to anger or it leads to ego. And this is interesting, embarrassment, because we're kind of always self-conscious about appearing civilized or appearing noble. But I remember in that moment, and this is a big tension between East and West, because the East is a very old civilization. And in that moment, he didn't really know how to use chopsticks. And then his friend kind of teased him, but he said, but I'm from a civilized country where we use fork and knife. But that's fascinating that leaks out. Imagine though, when you have a situation like that, so small, right? Micro expression, but it can be the key to understanding a whole nation's upbringing and their view on the world or other cultures. And then of course you negate the fact that Japanese, Chinese civilization, they've been around, at least in modern history, much longer, right? We're talking over 4,000 years. And then the European, the Anglos, the Westerners have been around for, you know, much less. But technology is what feeds these feelings of superior, right? So how do you feel about that moment?
I think that's beautiful that you said that you can actually, like, with just words receive key to understand the whole culture, because words are key. You know, we use words in our, if they're just keys, as the website or the Monroe thing you said straight in the podcast, that was a key for me that I took, you know. But
Right.
that's beautiful that you can take key from those small moments where the ego is playing. And actually, yeah, the Western world seems so evaluated, so advanced.
Right.
But
Evolved.
it's just evolved.
I have
only
moments
evolved
like
on
that too.
on the-
Like as an American, sometimes I'm an obnoxious American. I'm guilty of that too. You know, and I think as men too, we like to feel superior. It's in our code, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even yourself from France, and it's like, you know, France, Paris. I mean, these are capitals. This is a capital of art and culture, and like, you know, just one walk through the Museum d'Orsay, and you can just understand it. Like, so naturally, we have to be more conscious, I think, moving forward, of like each other's experiences up to this point.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that our civilization just, you know, on the line of evolution, our civilization just lost lost itself into the realm, the physical realm, just to go through this dark period that you mentioned and head back with the sun rising in a new state of consciousness and find ourselves again. Because we lost ourselves. We lost ourselves. Is everything, this world surrounding us, all these physical things are just temporary and they're not beneficial. But we're gonna find ourselves back, because that's just the law of nature.
I believe so.
When
too.
you lose yourself, you find it better.
Right, it's cyclical, and it goes back to that Yolo, Yala. You only live once, or you always live again. And it would be interesting to observe a study. I don't know how it would be conducted, but to understand whether people who are in a Yolo mindset become these over excess achievers. And then people in a Yala mindset, perhaps there's some balance. I mean, of course, I'm sure there's some hypothesis. If people listening would like to comment what you think will happen in a world that's, more one or the other. Of course, we're in a
do you think
super mix.
Do you think we could take you only live once and you always live again, both at the same time? Because I can believe in both. I can believe in both. Like I believe, I trust reincarnation, and I know I'm gonna always live again, but I always wanna use the energy of you only live once to achieve as much as I can in this lifetime, and to help the humanity grow as much as possible, because I feel like the human consciousness is only one, and it may be only one lifetime. So it's a combination of both for me. I don't know, maybe
I believe it's a combo of both too, because I do think you might only get this avatar one time, right?
Yeah, exactly. This avatar would be only once.
But the energy is always, or the spirit. So I know we mentioned
the impact, your mission.
Right. It's crazy that you talk about impact and mission, because I see a phenomenon happening, especially right now, in the indie hacker space, or especially in the AI technological advancement space. And there was a post by a founder of an app called Loom. This post went viral because he basically sold his company for like 63 million. But then he had like a kind of like an internal midlife crisis. He felt lost, uninspired. It's like he achieved this, it's almost like he not hit the lottery, because he's been working 15 years, to make this moment happen. And now he's rich forever, financially free. But he had a nice blog post where he really went kind of in depth, and he was introspecting, like, what is his life about? When his ambition can't be put into a meaningful cause anymore. And I thought this was very important, because it sent a ripple subtly throughout the tech and the indie hacker and the entrepreneur and the solopreneur world. And whether they realize it or not, it goes back to what we were speaking about in the birth of Beyond the Hustle, in the birth of Purple Matter, where what is the fulfillment after you've hit certain levels of the Maslow, or after you've conquered or completed the material realm? Where is the substance?
This come back. I think this come back to what we mentioned in the previous episode 8, about the highest duty of everyone. The highest duty is finding happiness, right? And I think that's the pure material fulfilling accomplishments, is just finding absolute happiness. But then I understand, like, when people get like one project after another, and sometimes they find their excitement fading off, in one project, and they wonder what's their mission, what's their purpose, what they should do, where should. I think it's very important for everyone that listen to be aware of what is give to you, what is offered to you right now. What's the best opportunity? So your mental may be thinking, I want to do this project. I really want to do this because I know it's a great opportunity and I can have great success there.
Right.
But as soon as you see that you are forcing this process, that means this is not the path you should take.
Right.
We should never force anything. We should never force. I mean, of course, we need to work hard.
Right. There is a
and
willpower.
we need to have a
There's
strong work
diligence.
ethic. But as soon as we see that we force and that doors are closing, it means that just right next to you there is another door. And as soon as we have a peace of mind and a clear mind, we can see those doors opening. And it works at every single level. It can work for a big project, opening a business, opening a company, study,
Right.
whatsoever. Or it can also work, simple example, when I was in Japan, we want to go to a restaurant. We really wanted to go to this restaurant because it's been a while I'm thinking of it, you know. And we head there and the restaurant is closed, you know. And I feel disappointed. I feel like, oh no. But then I just like, okay, there is another solution right here. And I just opened Google Map and I check around here. It was the 31st of January, so there everything is closed.
Right.
31st of December, everything is closed in Japan. And I open Google Map and I see there is another restaurant just right, like 2 floors ahead. I never seen this restaurant before. I went there. It was the best restaurant of my life. Everything vegan, everything beautiful. And I was like, thank God that this one was closed.
Right. It's like you allowed yourself to be surprised. You allowed yourself to be in the unknown.
And it's always a better option. Like when we think it's a door closing and we're disappointed of it, it's actually a blessing.
Right. And that to me makes me think about the concept of, you know, allowing yourself to not know, or allowing yourself to be bored, or just being present. Because I think boredom is a very interesting concept too. Like, how would you define boredom?
I think I would define boredom as... it's hard for me because I used to be bored, but now I'm very rarely bored, and I wish I can find back. For me, boredom is, when I was younger, was a state where you don't know what to do. Right. And you are stagnating and you are not productive, and that's boredom.
I think a lot of people feel that.
For me, boredom now is more like a state where you don't have any specific action that need to be made, but you are open to anything that come.
Right. And I think that's beautiful, because to me that's a new sense of like your consciousness opening, because you don't have an anxiety, you have a faith, you have a trust. You know you're in the right place. It's like, you know you're in a river that's leading to the ocean. And it makes you think, like, people who are, you know, bored or ambitious, because I think boredom and ambition kind of dance together. Ambition is like an antidote to boredom, you know, because you want to achieve something, you want to make a name for yourself, you want to make millions, you want to be impressed and admired by your peers, you want the hot girl. Like, there's so much want and desire in ambition, and our society really like loves it. We feed ambition. And then you have a character like this who did it, boom, 60 million, done. And he's empty. Because, like, where did those messages come from that led him on that path? And I think a lot of people are going to be very, you know, they're going to be like, it's an uncomfortable feeling to really face your purpose in the mirror, right? It's like what we spoke about with the cupcakes, like back in the day when, you know, I was taking photographs of cupcakes or macaroons. You've been there too. But like,
yes, sir.
But like, your brain is like maybe looking at the dude who's in the Himalayas, like, or he's capturing war photography, and you're like, why the fuck am I taking pictures of these cupcakes? Right? It's like,
yeah, definitely.
But you realize that has a purpose.
And as soon as we start practicing all these tools, you know, of like just being available of what it's giving to us, a good example right now is with the company I'm running, the creative agency, right? Mm-hmm. When I started opening it was just pure intention. When I opened it 2 years ago, it was pure intuition.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's something that I can do right now. And I've done it as much as I could, the best I can,
Right.
without a big background into like marketing and advertising.
Right.
But clients came, and I got, a great financial success. And now I feel like I'm in a transition state,
Right.
and clients are slowly, I never lost any client in my life, but now clients are slowly telling me like, oh, we may hire marketing person in-house or whatsoever. And the clients are slowly fading off. And
Right.
for me, I'm
'Cause
not
it's your
scared, and I'm not
manifestation,
worried. I'm not scared, I'm not worried, I'm not stressed about those clients leaving right now. I'm grateful because they are giving me the opportunity to pivot and to transit to something much better. Because shooting videos and photos and doing marketing for companies that are not my own, I feel like I had enough.
Right.
For 2 years was great.
Right.
It was amazing financial success, but now I want something bigger, and they are giving me the opportunity to pivot. Because if I will be still working with them nonstop, I would not have the time to focus on what's next.
Right.
And so it's like I grow a tree with the intuition I received. The fruit side came, they
Right.
took the fruits, and now there is no more fruits, and I'm gonna grow another tree.
Right. And that's really cool too, because that in a way, on the positive note, is this new entrepreneurial solopreneur indie hacker community that I personally think is very exciting. Like, besides that story I told you, which could be the introspective part about compounding wealth, this is where my next realization comes, where I believe you, myself, anybody who really wants to manifest an abundant lifestyle, using the tools, kind of hacking your way, right? Figuring it out. There's going to be an increase of financially free people. It's going to happen very, very rapidly, especially with AI agents currently being deployed, probably will be mass deployed in this year. Financial freedom is going to be so normalized. And this is fascinating because naturally that is going to tip the scales of supply and demand. We're going to see the first solopreneur billionaire. We're going to see people who are able to output or provide service via their ideas and problem solving, making hundreds of millions, in a span of 5-10 years. So it's no longer going to be about, I hope, what you spend money to buy. I believe it's going to be what you spend money to learn, or what you spend money to do. This is where we spoke about, even new strategy for Beyond the Hustle, where the traditional model is finding the companies who have all the money, or most of the money, right? They have most of the market share, and you want that company to sponsor you, right? You want Montclair to sponsor you. You want Nike to sponsor you. But what are you driving? You're driving people to purchase another physical product, right? But in theory, how many jackets does one person need, right? In theory.
Only one.
Right, a good one, right? And this kind of goes back to like one of my favorite movies. I think you watched it, Fight Club, with Brad Pitt, Edward Norton. And it's based on a novel. But if you were to go into Fight Club and you were to read the script and you were to read the writing, Tyler Durden, this kind of anti-hero, this representation of dystopian society, he talks about like having a leather jacket that you only need one time in your life, that stays with you forever. He talks about trees scaling the skyscrapers. Like this writer's view is so dystopian, but in a way it's like this evolved notion of mankind. And
For sure.
even right now, I saw a crazy video. Some guy was like, what's Elon's real mission, actually? It's not really one of each. It's not like just Mars or just Cybertrucks and Teslas or just Starlink. Actually, it's a combo. Because in theory, you're off-gridding people. You're just off-gridding them. We're all plugged into a city. We're plugged into it like a motherboard. But if you off-grid people, whether it's like an electric RV with unlimited internet, with the ability to make an abundance of, you know, software as a service products or finances online. All of a sudden, we are getting close to that theory, that dream of having your own spaceship, right? Of course, we might still be on wheels, but the human's desire to experience life will kind of go back to who we were in the beginning. Nomadic people, explorers, adventurers, people like you on the mountains of, what's the town with the Fuji mountain?
Now, where I'm right now?
Yeah, what mountain were you just like shredding?
Now I'm in Hokkaido, North Japan,
Yeah,
Furano.
Right, you know what I mean? Just, right, looking for the best powder, snow. So like, the most random things will become the most valuable. And your conversations will change with people.
But there is one thing that I'm interesting to see with you right now, because you just mentioned about the travel and explorator and see whatsoever, you know, the world. And there's a lot of time I was in the Japanese onsen, the hot spring, looking at the snow, and I was wondering,
Nice.
you know, I had a lot of time to think, and I was wondering, you know, how lucky we are that right now as a French dude I can be in a Japanese bath full of tattoos, and they accept me here, and I can just like relax in the snow, and how lucky we are. Just think about like years ago where they didn't even know that was existing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now I just go there normally, easily, effortlessly. So that's already a big step forward. But then I'm thinking, in the future, I truly believe that travel will be less available to everyone.
Really?
I think so. I think that communities will understand that for having a peaceful world, we'll have to be together. And travel was available to society right now because it helped us to learn, it helped us to grow. But after some time, when we're going to understand that the airplanes are not as safe as we think, or the tourism is not as good as we think for the planet, or, you know, all those little details, they're not healthy. And we're going to understand that, and I think in the future of society, travel will be less available, maybe for like really, really rich people that can afford it, but otherwise it's not a healthy thing, because of course there is good tourists, there's
Right.
people that go there to learn the culture, but there is some tourists, the mass tourist is not that good. It's good for economy.
Have you seen Mount Everest lately?
Yeah, this kind of thing.
Insane. Like,
So
thousands of kilos of trash and garbage.
exactly. My mom is reading a book right now, very interesting, that is her brother offered to us, and my mom is a huge traveler, but
Right.
the book is about if we have killed every single person that came in a country, like a long time ago, if like one guy come in the country, you kill him straight when he arrives, then the world would be peaceful. So it's all the book is about the theory. Of course, like it's a roman. It's like
it's an extreme.
It's
Like
extreme.
it's a thought experiment.
But
That's interesting.
But he arguments during all the book about how the world will be if we have killed anyone that come in. Because when the first guy come in another continent, that's the birth of every struggle in a world. That's the birth about colonialism, slavery.
Right. This is a
Like
great
conquering
this is a great question.
continents.
Why do humans?
That's my territory. That's my territory.
Right,
that's not
right.
your territory.
Right.
You
That's
know?
crazy. Why can't you stay where you are?
Exactly.
So this is,
and we are good in the family, you know. We're good in the family.
Right.
Like, you know, Japanese people, they're good together. You know,
Right.
they need American just for money.
But this
They
is
need
the,
tourists
yeah.
just for money.
This is the
right now.
complex question of human nature. We are so, and I think it's that code in our brain, in our spirit, our heart, our consciousness, whatever it is. But it's what's on the other side of that hill. What's up there? Can I get there?
But we're gonna arrive at a state where we have learned everything. That was our transitional part. We had to travel a lot. We had to make like
Maybe
that's
you're right,
human
yeah. I
nature.
see what you mean.
That's Mother Nature that gives us the opportunity to travel, go everywhere, learn a lot. But as soon as the data gonna be filled up, and we're gonna know everything about the world, maybe not down the ocean, but on the surface, we're gonna know everything, and then we can understand that actually we're good in our little house with our little family. You know, it's enough.
You know, my dream is the house can fly.
Yeah,
The house can
You're
fly
true.
at light speed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And can warp and go interdimensional.
sure.
I mean, to me,
For
you
sure.
know, I feel like that's, in my opinion, the ultimate form of freedom is pure, seamless motion, right? And they talk about this in the astral plane. You know, anybody who's researched what the astral plane is, you visualize something and you almost fly to it, like, whew, right? It just appears. And a big reason why, you know, people who understand the astral plane say that souls come to be reincarnated as humans in the physical three-dimensional realm is because you want to feel the value. And this goes back to the great myths of Roman and Greek, and why the gods and the humans are always mingling and battling and tension and making love. And it's like the gods want to feel the flesh. They want to feel the pain. They want to feel that 10 years of sculpting marble into Michelangelo, like, right?
They want to forget to remember better. That's it. That's
Right.
like
Because the
the
astral
human
plane
curve.
is too, like, even now when you
Yeah.
imagine, like I could stay at home and I can just live in my head, right? We all could do that, right?
Yeah,
But for some reason, you got to get up. If you see your friend who's at home and for a week didn't leave the house, bro, you got to get out.
Exactly.
We got to eat.
But that's
you
the
know?
interesting thing, because it's like mathematics, right? It's like you have to go out to forget and then remember better. So maybe the guy in the astral plane come as a human to feel the flesh,
Right.
and then as soon as he get back into the astral world, he will enjoy so much better because he remembered how hard it is to be a human.
And this makes me think of, if you have your computer, type in Alex Gray. I want you to see something. And this is a very interesting painting that Alex Gray, who is like a very powerful artist and kind of conscious cosmic channeler.
Wow.
Alex Gray, and type in demons and deities drinking from the milky pool. And I want you to see this image, because you talk about happiness and you talk about love and you talk about how people want to, they want absolute happiness, but I'm sorry to tell you, or maybe I'm not sorry, but for anybody who's listening, the world is really not red or blue. It really is purple. Because the same people whose absolute happiness comes from having a child and raising a beautiful family and creating a wonderful world of healing and medicine and freedom, there are also people whose absolute happiness comes from bloodshed, from violence.
For sure,
from
for sure,
death.
and that's the absolute bliss I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the happiness that there is two. You never want to be in two extremes. You never want to be in like extreme happiness, like physical, like you don't want to be there. You don't want to be in like pure suffering, but you want to be fulfilled in both cases, and that everything is good.
This is very tricky.
Like even if like there is a huge happiness moment in your life, you want to understand that this is only temporary and be still fulfilled,
Right.
That's absolute bliss.
It's very tricky.
That's the state.
Because
and
it's very
that's
tricky
true, it's
to
purple.
It's
purple.
hard to get to that state, because we are of the flesh and blood, and we do feel pain and suffering, and we feel ache, and we feel anger, and we feel jealousy and greed. And it's like when you look at this painting, though, you see how there's everything.
I'm not sure if I found it.
Deities and demons drinking from the milky pool. Alex Gray.
Is like the red one? Is the bloody one? Because there's
it's basically, so you should say deities and demons drinking from milky pool, and it should be like earth in the middle, and it's like four It's like
Okay,
an
okay, I
earth in
see,
the
I see.
middle, and then you can
Okay,
see
okay.
there's like a mouth in the corner, two corners.
Oh,
And if you look
I see, I
closely
see.
at the earth, you see everybody is like having sex around the earth, right? You
Mm.
seeing that?
Yep.
So this vision that he had, that he painted, he felt like he got a glimpse of the true, of close to the true nature of the earth realm, which is there are these energies that are drinking the energies that humans create, whether it be love and happiness or pain, violence, and destruction. And either way, it's a sun, it's a milky ball just constantly flowing. And this is uncomfortable. This is a feeling of, this might scare people seeing this image, because you might feel like you're just on an ant farm. You might feel like you're just an insect, like feeding something else. But of course, if that's true, then you have to realize the reality you manifest, similar to like when you started your agency as a small example. You manifested that reality, but as your desire faded, that reality started to fade away. And if you started to desire something else, other things will start
Or create another
gravitating.
one.
Right. But the
Sure.
same goes for what we call evil. The same thing
Yeah,
happens.
for sure.
You mentioned something great, which I think is very fitting of right now, because you see what's kind of happening recently. You see what's happening like with all this attention in the UK about these, Islamic gang rapes of people, right? And you mentioned like your mom reading that book about like other people coming into another country, right? And like,
Boom, you shut them up straight in.
I know this, but of course that's radical. Like that's almost inhumane.
It's
But
just a, yeah.
but here we're faced with a reality, which again we don't know all the facts, but
For
it's
sure.
looking like you can kind of sense that like there's a lot of darkness happening in the UK, where Islamic Muslim men are raping, you know, English girls, young girls, and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
like
good.
I can only imagine like how does a father or a mother feel? Like how do you cope with that? How do you resolve that? How do you grow from that? Right? And of course, like this is, this goes back to all the darkness in the world. Like there are people who are really on some, I'm gonna take that from you. Like that's my shit. Like give me that.
Mm.
I don't give a fuck what you have to say. Give me that shit. Right? Crime, theft, murder, like all these shades in the purple matter. But it's like how do we collectively like almost like boom, energy hit to these type of people, like wait a second, why?
I think it's
Why
the
do I
whole.
gotta
I think
steal?
it's
Why do I gotta kill? Why do I gotta rape?
exactly. But that's part of. I think those people are learning still. You know, it's part of the
Right.
process. We're still in transition to that phase where we all understood that it's not beneficial for anyone to do this. You know, those people are stealing. They haven't learned yet, so they're gonna steal. They're gonna learn that pain gonna arrive after to them as well. After they gave pain, they're gonna receive pain. You know, they're gonna understand that mechanics.
Right.
And
They're
I
in
think they're
their
gonna
they're
learn.
it's
So
like
right
they're
now,
in their reality.
yeah, exactly. They're in their reality. They're gonna learn. They're gonna go through. I'm very optimistic about that. And as you were thinking about, you were saying like evil and deities, you know, and how like we can. I think the very important thing right now is like scientists gonna build scientists and tech companies gonna build products and technology that they're gonna build it is gonna be offered to us, and the government gonna take time to put regulation on it. It's gonna take time, and entrepreneurs gonna be much faster to use them. And I think it's gonna be depending on entrepreneurs to use the technologies that's gonna be offered in a evil way or in a positive way. And I think that's
Right.
going to be all the matter. Entrepreneurs going to have the key to make the choice. When the chip's going to arrive, do you really want to add ads into that chips and bring like cock products into the brain of the guy when he's talking with his mom? That's all about it. That's all about
Right.
like the intention of the entrepreneur. So if the intention gets good, get positive, we may live in a beautiful world. But if the intention is like, I just want to sell my product even though it's going to kill the people that buy it, then it's very evil.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's going to be in entrepreneur. The key going to be in the entrepreneurs,
yeah,
the companies.
It's so sticky. It's a very sticky situation because, of course, I'm all for capitalism. I think that really inspires and motivates ambitious, hardworking people to achieve so much. But naturally, capitalism does create these huge wealth gaps. And then it raises the question, how much more does one man need, right? So we're seeing this rise of like technocratic kings or emperors, the Bezos, the Musks, the Bill Gates, the Zuckerbergs. We're seeing this new system of almost like, you speak about Japanese, it feels like a Japanese feudal system, you know, and Silicon Valley is modern day. What was the capital in Japan in the back in the day? Was it
Kyoto?
It was Kyoto? Yeah, I feel like Silicon Valley is the Eye of Sauron, right? In the Lord of the Rings, it's the tower.
Mm-hmm.
You
True.
know?
But I think all this capitalism, I'm also like, you know, I love like these things to build companies, build things. But I think one thing that the world's gonna need, and I really truly believe in it, and I think we're gonna need the comeback of philosophers.
Philosophers, spiritual teachers,
That's gonna
healers.
Spiritual teachers, philosophers, exactly. That's gonna be the balance. That's gonna be the
Yeah.
balance. If
for
all
that.
these people can talk and can have the opportunity to share the vision about the truth,
Right.
and
Right.
influence the entrepreneurs and the capitalists, then all projects may be very well intended.
Well-rounded, well-intended. Yeah, that's very true. You know, shout out to the monks in Tibet and Bhutan and all across Buddhism praying for all good and evil to be in balance.
And not only, you know, like remember in France, and right now you're in France, and I want to, before we sign off, I want to have a little talk about your experience in France because I'm very interested about it. But you know, in France there is this period, the enlightened period with philosophers that changed everything. I don't know if you learn about this, but I've learned it at school because I'm French, and there was like all those philosophers that were shining in the 18th century.
Right.
And then no more, right? You don't hear like new philosophers that are famous, popular, whatsoever. But now we have so many new communication tools. It's not anymore about books. It's not anymore about
Papers,
writing things,
articles. Yeah.
Now we can like we have so many tools to talk
direct to the philosopher of
you
our
got
time.
it.
But this is where
Yes, sir.
This is where again back to the beginning. Who are our noble characters? And if anybody listening to this has some great, you know, people who they believe are noble thought leaders, like I would love to see who are the nobles. Where are the nobles?
There's a lot. I mean, for me, I can share mine. There's a lot I trust in, you know, I believe in. There's like, I can just say right now, like, just randomly, but one of the most popular I know, like Deepak Chopra, is like a leading voice, and he's sharing like truth,
Deepak.
you know.
Yeah, Deepak changed the game.
Deepak Chopra. There's a lot. There's like a lot of speaking, like a lot, man.
Yeah,
I think.
I know.
It's all about like.
Yeah,
spreading the words.
Exactly. It's all about creating more awareness. And before we sign off too, maybe one little hook to leave the audience about, but I think the next time we speak, we got to talk about, there's something that I've been seeing about the correlation between hours of meditation and the moment that your third eye opens. And there's a direct correlation to how many hours you put in to that moment where you pop and your third eye opens and your pineal gland starts flowing. So going back to like this vision that we had of a tech-centric, human-centric world where more people are making financially free decisions, they will only be left with going back inside and awakening.
Exactly.
So that other side of the coin of self-actualization is starting to look a lot more like enlightenment as we
100%.
as we unlock
100%. And I talk about this with a guy on Thread. He was like, we were talking about like how entrepreneurship is the key to enlightenment, because when you start entrepreneurship, you start your journey of being alone. You know, when you do entrepreneurship, you're alone. No one's gonna help you. When you start asking help from outside, there is no help, and the only help you can find is inside yourself. And so as soon as people start entrepreneurship, I feel like they have to find a higher power for help. And as soon as you start to seek for a higher power, you start your journey for self-realization, because the higher power is self-realization, right?
That's fire. I'm excited for that. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. So we just gotta do things, man. Just gotta, like, when you have an
shipping.
excitement, a project, work as hard as you can on that project that excites you,
Right.
because that's where you're gonna grow fruits from a tree,
Right.
and people are gonna grab those fruits until there is no more, and until you find another excitement. And that's how life should be.
Just keep shipping, keep sharing.
Keep shipping. Keep making fruits grow.
Yes, indeed, and make sure you eat some good fruits too. On
Yeah,
that
and
note, pineapple.
eat the fruits that people give you, pineapple and mangoes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All
No,
right,
that was a good talk. That was a good talk. I hope we can make it more frequent.
Yes,
We can
indeed.
talk, frequent check-up.
Yes, indeed.
We were both in a busy state, you know, at the end of the year. Soon gonna come the actual New Year, Chinese New Year. That's the real one.
Right.
Not the fake one. Not the fake one.
Right. Year of the snake is
That's
here.
where things gonna start,
2025.
because exactly, that's where things gonna start, because right now people think we're in 2025. No, we're still in 2024 right now.
I mean, I saw something great. I'll never look at the calendar the same again. Is why is the New Year in the middle of winter? The New Year should be at the beginning of spring. So
Exactly.
so our rhythm, our circadian cycles are already thrown off by this system that we've been born into.
Exactly,
Like,
and I've seen that the system that gave us the Gregorian calendar, they just done this so we are not aware of the moon cycles, and the moon
we're
cycles
off.
are actually giving us the moon cycle actually help us to get the best opportunities in our life if we learn
we're broken
how
clocks.
Exactly, we're broken clocks.
It's crazy.
So
Think about that.
just forget about the
New Year's is supposed to be when the first buds pop out the tree.
Yeah.
That's a new
and
year.
there is actually 13 moon. It's not 12 months. It's 13 moon.
Right. So like all these little things. I mean, people who are listening, we unlock your research. You know, go find the answers for us. Why are we trapped in this broken clock system where the new year is?
I get the answer. It's because they can control us. They can control us that way. If we start working with the moon, how powerful we're gonna be.
Right. That's true.
You just fake it. You just like fake a calendar. So like people think, oh, that's a new month, you know, but no, actually like every moon, bro, like that's a new energy. And then at the full moon, that's where the energy is at the highest peak.
I know. I wonder what it would take. What would it take to just like reset the system and like make New Year's in spring? Like, how do we reverse that whole shit?
That's where you question yourself. Is the Western system the more relevant than the Chinese system, you know? That's where you start questioning yourself. Like, is the Chinese actually like, you know, we've been like bombarded with information about Chinese, about like, that's not a good country, that's like terrible, that's really bad. But like, they actually have a real calendar. We don't have a real calendar. You know, when you go there,
it's to the moon.
When you head there, it's pretty clean. You know, they are very evaluated. When you get on Google Map there, like the Google Map give you the time of the red lights in live, you know? So like, think about it. I want to think about it. I'm very fascinated about China. All right, my G.
That's true.
On that,
we haven't been to China yet in recent times.
We gotta go.
I'm looking at
China gonna be strong.
Yeah,
we think we're strong, but China is building things in silence, my G.
Real G's moving silence like lasagna. Ooh.
Exactly. We're talking too much out there.
Yes, indeed. On that note, I'm going to holla at you.
All right, my G.
Purple Matter. Like, comment, subscribe.
Episode 9.
Yes, indeed.
Let's get it.
Talk soon.